The EU has billions, literally billions of euros just waiting for great ideas. But how do you actually get your hands on it? Well, in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that complexity. We're talking about huge programs like Horizon Europe, and we're going to give you a super clear, step-by-step roadmap to craft a proposal that doesn't just get noticed, but gets you that funding.
Okay, just look at this number for a second. 95.5 billion euros. And get this, that's the budget for just one program, Horizon Europe. This isn't just some number on a spreadsheet, you know? This is the fuel for projects that are literally changing the world, tackling climate change, pushing innovation, basically shaping our future. The opportunity here for your idea to make a real impact, it's just enormous.
So with that much at stake, the big question is, how do you win? Look, the competition is fierce, no doubt about it. But success isn't about luck. It's the result of a really clear strategic process. And that is exactly what we're going to break down for you today, your roadmap to a winning proposal.
All right, so here's our game plan. First up, we're going to talk about laying your foundation. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of crafting your winning proposal. After that, we'll see what actually happens after you click submit. And to wrap it all up, we'll distill everything down to the absolute keys to success. Ready?
Okay, let's dive right into phase one, laying your foundation. Now this is so important. Before you even think about writing a single word of your proposal, you've got to build a solid blueprint. This is the strategic work that separates the winners from the proposals that honestly just get ignored. And it all kicks off with one crucial first decision.
You've probably heard this before, but it's so true when it comes to EU funding. You really do need to learn to walk before you can run. You know, the biggest mistake people make, especially newcomers, is they just jump straight into writing the proposal. But real success? That comes from preparation. It's about understanding the whole landscape and figuring out exactly where you fit in. And that brings us to your very first, really critical choice. Are you going to be the coordinator, the one leading the whole show? Or are you going to be a participant, a key partner who contributes their expertise? This one decision right here is going to shape your entire funding journey.
So what you're seeing here is the core trade-off. As a coordinator, you're in the driver's seat. You're managing the project, the budget, the partners, the whole thing. It's a massive commitment, and you'll need some serious experience. On the other hand, as a participant, you bring your expertise to the table with way less risk and fewer resources, but you also have less control. Honestly, for most newcomers, starting out as a participant is by far the smartest move.
All right, next up, you got to build your R&I profile. And listen, this isn't just some boring paperwork. Think of it as your sales pitch to potential partners. It's got to have your core competencies, your past wins, and, this is crucial, your golden paragraphs. So what are those? They're these sharp, punchy bios for your key people that prove exactly why they're the perfect experts for this job. A really strong profile makes a coordinator's decision to bring you on board a total no-brainer.
Okay, so your foundation is solid. Now it's time to face what I like to call the gauntlet. Actually writing the proposal. This is where all the pieces, your strategy, your team, your brilliant idea finally come together on paper.
Now, don't let the process overwhelm you. It really just boils down to these 5 key milestones. First, you find the perfect call for your idea. That's all on the EU portal. Then you assemble your dream team. After that, you draft the actual proposal, lock in the budget, and finally you hit that submit button. Look, it's a marathon, for sure, but each step is actually pretty clear.
Now this next point is maybe the most important filter for your idea. It can't just exist in a vacuum. The people evaluating your proposal are looking at it through 3 specific lenses: excellence, impact, and implementation. So your proposal's main job is to draw a bright, clear line from your excellent idea to its potential impact on solving the EU's big challenges, like the Green Deal.
All right, let's talk money, the budget. Every single cost has to be realistic and totally justified. So you've got your direct costs, right? Things like salaries for your team, travel expenses. But the real key here is not to forget the indirect costs. This is a flat 25% that gets added on top of your direct costs. It's there to cover stuff like rent and utilities, and it's super important for making sure the project doesn't end up draining your organization's core operations.
And here's a classic financial mistake you've got to avoid. When it comes to equipment, you don't claim the full purchase price. Nope, you claim its depreciation, just for the time it's being used in the project. I know it seems like a tiny detail, but trust me, getting this wrong is a huge red flag for auditors and can get your costs rejected later on.
So you did it! You hit submit after months of hard work. First off, congratulations. But now a whole new phase begins, the waiting game. So let's take a look at the post-submission timeline, which definitely requires a bit of patience and some planning.
Okay, managing your expectations is absolutely critical here. After you submit, it can take up to 5 months for independent experts to evaluate everything. And if you're successful, which is awesome, preparing the grant agreement can stretch that out to the 8-month mark. It's only then that the project officially kicks off and the first payment actually arrives.
So, once you're approved, 2 key contracts come into play. First, there's the grant agreement, or GA. That's your official contract with the EU. It lays out the rules for everybody. But then there's the consortium agreement, the CA. Think of this as your internal rulebook, just between you and your partners. It spells out who's doing what and who owns the results. So you could think of the GA as the what and the CA as the how. And let me be clear, never ever start a project without a strong CA in place.
The moment that ink is dry on the contracts, your mindset has to shift completely. It's no longer about winning the grant. It's about delivering on it. This is all about flawless execution, hitting every single milestone, tracking every single euro, and documenting absolutely everything. Good project management isn't just bureaucracy. It's how you prove you're delivering the value you promised.
So, we've gone through this whole journey, from idea to execution. But what does it all really boil down to? Let's distill all of this down into the essential toolkit you need for success.
Okay, if you only remember one thing from all of this, make it these 3 keys. First, strategic preparation. You have to know your role and align with EU priorities before you even start. Second, a compelling proposal. You've got to prove your idea is excellent, that it'll have a real impact, and that you have a solid plan to make it happen. And third, diligent management. Once you win, you have to execute flawlessly. That's it.
And one last thing, let's take a quick look at the future of EU funding, which is the lump sum model. Now this is a total game changer. Forget about reporting every single little receipt. Instead, you get paid for completing tasks and deliverables that you agreed on beforehand. The focus completely shifts from accounting to results. And what that means is your project management has to be absolutely rock solid.
At the end of the day, this whole process exists for one reason: to turn great ideas into reality. The funding is there to solve huge problems and build a better future. And you know what? Your idea could be a part of that story. The path is definitely challenging, but hey, now you have the map. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build?